few of you have asked about additional questions about the file structure and how to work between files so that you can share information between files and also create new files that'll be going into your portfolio project. So I'm going to take the time right now to show you. What I've done is I've just opened the boilerplate that's attached to the landing page, and I'll also attach it to the final project as well. But if you download the boilerplate zip file, it'll get downloaded to a zip file, and then you'll extract that zip file, and then you'll just see a root folder like this. And then you can open that folder in brackets like I've done here, and then expand the folders, and you'll see that there's an index.html and there's an about.html. If I click on the index.html, it's been stripped out, and the about.html has been stripped out as well. But I'll show you how you can reference each of these files within the other file. So let's go up to the header, and let's go ahead and build out a navigation. Whoops. And this is going to be my home page, so I'm going to link this to index.html. But then my next page will link to my about. So I'll change this to link to the about file. See how brackets already sees that there's an about file in there? Now I'm going to create a third and a fourth link. I'm going to call this one portfolio. And I'm going to call this one contact. I'm going to take out the references to about, and over here off to the right, looks like brackets doesn't give the ability to duplicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy what I have here, go to my index, paste it in. Then I'm going to go to my Finder, and I am going to go to the root, www, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy or duplicate this file. Now, if you have a Mac like me, you can just hit duplicate, or if you have a PC, I think it's copy, or you can use your shortcut keys, which is just Command-C, Command-V, or Control-C, Control-V, depending on if you're using a Mac or a PC. So now I have these additional files. If I go back to brackets, now we see those additional files in there, and I copied this one, so they're all going to have, did I copy that one? Oh, I didn't save my index before I copied. Wow, stupid me. So let's go back to the index.html, and let's go ahead and add in our other files that we just created. So portfolio is going to go to portfolio.html, and contact is going to go to contact.html. And it knows this because we've created these files. You could also, let's do this. Let's delete the portfolio one. And now we no longer have a portfolio page. What I could do is I could just right-click, new file, portfolio.html. And this is actually in the root folder, so I need to drag it down so that's within the www folder. There we go. So just like before, I have a file, but it's blank. So then I just go to the index, and I can come in here, copy. Sorry, I'm going too fast. So what I did here is I just went Command A, or Control A. You can also go up to Edit, select all. Then I copied, which is Command C or Control C, or you can go up to Edit, Copy. Then I went to Portfolio, and you can hit Command V or Control C, or go up to Edit and paste. Same way will get you the duplicate files. Now, let's finish this up so that all my files are linked. So this is going to be going to Portfolio. And if we look at our files, they're all going to be different. Well, we want them to be the same. So what I can do is, now that the header is correct for index.html, I'm just going to copy this and then paste it throughout so that all my files have the same navigation and there's no risk of error. If we preview this, and we click on the links, we're not seeing any changes. Actually, we are. It's because we haven't saved it. So let's go back through and let's save everything. Now we should be able to go, let me refresh here. So we're viewing the index.html. I should be able to go to About, Portfolio, and Contact, and it doesn't look different except the URLs that we're pointing to. But right now, visually, nothing's different. So let's go ahead and add on each of these pages a heading so that we know. So this is home. And I'm just going to copy this, go to About, paste it, and do About. I'm just going to go through all of these and do the exact same thing. This is going to be Contact. And then finally, Portfolio. Now, when I save all of these, and I go back and preview, each of the pages have their own title. Now let's talk about CSS. So I'm already linking to my CSS on all of my pages. It's totally fine to use the same CSS file within all of your pages. The good thing about this is you can share style sheets among pages and you don't have to recreate them. Some people like to keep things separate, and so they'll create a CSS file for the About page, for the Home page, for the Contact page, and for the Portfolio. So you would have 4 different CSS files, or as many files as you have pages. I don't think you need to do that. I think you can use just one CSS file. You just need to make sure you're linking to that same CSS file on every single page. This way, you can share style sheets on every single page. Now, what if you want style sheets to be used on one page but not on another? You can utilize different CSS behavior to do that. For example, you could add in your body an ID for the page that you're on. And then you can identify that ID specific to the style sheet for that page. I'll show you an example here. Let's just use the portfolio and say that only headlines on this page should be blue. So if I go to my style, I'm going to add an identifier to call out that ID. When you call out an ID, you use the pound symbol plus the name. If we go back to our portfolio, that's the ID. and we go to our style sheets, this is the class. Now I'm going to say that everything within the portfolio that has a headline, the color of the text will be blue, but only if it's within the portfolio page, because we have this unique identifier only on this page. We do have a unique identifier on every page, but each unique identifier is different. This one's called home, that one's called contact, that one's called about, and this one's called portfolio. So now, if we save all these, and we go preview our pages again, and go through all the headlines, portfolio is blue, because that's where our style sheet is pointing to. If I wanted all of my headlines to be blue, I would just take out that unique identifier. Now every headline on every page is blue because we're sharing the same file. Images can also be placed in the same file. Within the same folder. This lets you use images between pages a lot easier. There's really no need to separate your images by pages unless you really want to get that systematic about organization. When you add an image to your home page, you can add this same image to any other page because this folder is accessible by all of your files. Now my home page and my about page both have backgrounds, but my portfolio and my contact do not. Sharing your CSS file can get a little cumbersome if you're not using unique identifiers. For example, you may have images on all of your pages. If you give a specific style to images without using a unique identifier like portfolio or another class, then all of your images are going to incorporate those styles. Now all my images, if I knew how to spell, now all my images will only be 100 pixels wide and have a 3-pixel border around them, whether I want them all to or not. Now you might want all your images to have that styling, but if you want one image to have a style specifically to the page or to the area, then you need to use a unique identifier. This is using a unique identifier with the ID. You can do the same thing with a class. So I might use a class that says about main. And then I can use this class to look for this image. So then I can go back to my CSS and say about.main. Because I'm using a class and not an ID as an identifier, I have to use a period. If this was an ID, then I would use the pound symbol. That's the difference. Now, my about page has that styling, but my home page has lost that styling because I'm no longer calling it. So those are good examples about how to use multiple images and how to incorporate one file your CSS file for all pages. The linking between the pages is very simple. You just need to make sure that they're all within the same directory. Portfolio, index, contact, and about are all within this www folder, so they're all what you call siblings. And that's how we can directly link to each of these. So they're 4 separate files, but we have 4 separate links going to each of those files. If after seeing this you have questions, shoot me an email. I know that some of us have already scheduled time for one-on-ones. If we can't handle it through an email or through Canvas, then we'll schedule a one-on-one and we'll walk through it together.